Okay, so today we're gonna dive into something that I think everyone listening can probably relate to in some way, and that's dating and romantic relationships.
Yeah, very relatable topic for sure.
We've got this pretty interesting audio lesson that we're going to use as kind of a jumping off point. And what's cool about it is that it's not just about learning how to say I like you in 10 different languages or something. You know what I mean? It actually digs into the bigger picture of how we connect with each other romantically, and kind of the cultural stuff that's all wrapped up in that too.
Yeah, exactly. I think, think of it as more than just a language tutorial, right?
Okay.
We're going to kind of pull out some of the key insights, some of the things that might surprise you about how we communicate romantic intentions, and really try to put it all in context.
So speaking of context,
Yeah.
let's actually jump right into the dialogue that's in this audio lesson.
Yeah.
The scene opens with this kind of unexpected setup,
Yeah.
right? One person has clearly gone out of their way to create a very, very specific mood for this conversation. I mean, they say things like, I told him not to come, and I made a reservation just for the two of us, and, we have this quiet evening all to ourselves. It's very intentional, very deliberate.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can almost feel the tension building right from the start. The conversational stage is being very carefully set for something important to happen.
Totally. And then it doesn't take long for them to get right to it. The speaker comes out and says, Jennifer, there's something I want to ask you. Very direct. No beating around the bush.
Straight to the point.
Yeah, no kidding. And then to really emphasize how big of a deal this is, they use that phrase that we hear all the time. Here's the thing.
Oh, yeah. Here's the thing.
Now, the audio lesson makes it clear that this isn't literally about handing someone a physical object or anything. It's more like a signal that what they're about to say is really, really important. Almost like a spotlight on the next sentence.
That's a great way to think about it. A verbal spotlight. You're telling the other person, hey, listen up. This is the key takeaway. The lesson actually gives some good examples, too. One that's maybe a bit too honest. Here's the thing. People don't like you. Ouch.
Right. Maybe not the best way to start a conversation.
And then another example that feels very, very relevant to us. Here's the thing. We're behind in our podcasting. We have to work overtime.
Oh, no, we've all been there.
So yeah, it's all about framing, right? You're setting up that key piece of information, and it's interesting how these little phrases that we might not even think about can be so powerful in shaping a conversation.
Absolutely. And then after all that buildup, the speaker finally reveals their true feelings. They go with the classic, I've always seen you as more than just a friend.
Yeah, that's a game changer right there. It's a line that can instantly redefine an entire relationship.
Big time. And then to add even more weight to the moment, they say, I can't take it anymore, which the audio explains is like saying, I can't stand it anymore, or I just can't tolerate this situation any longer. It's usually something you'd say when you're really frustrated or at your wit's end.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It definitely conveys a sense of urgency and this buildup of emotion that just has to come out. And to really drive the point home, the speaker uses these very specific details, I know you better than anyone. I know the pros and cons of your personality, even down to, I even know what side of the bed is yours.
It's not just generic flattery. It's super specific and personal, which makes Jennifer's reaction so understandable. Are you serious?
Right. I mean, it's a question, but it's also clearly a sign of shock. Whoa, hold on a second. I was not expecting this. And she immediately brings up the fact that they've been friends for years and how they can't just change that overnight.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really valid point. It's not like you can just flip a switch and suddenly erase years of friendship and shared experiences.
Definitely not. But the speaker isn't giving up just yet. They respond with this really vulnerable admission. I know I never had the guts to tell you until today. And the lesson explains that have the guts in this context means to be brave or courageous enough to do something difficult or risky.
Yeah, like when someone says, I don't have the guts to go skydiving or to give a speech in front of a huge crowd. It's about facing your fears and doing something that takes a lot of courage.
Exactly. And confessing romantic feelings for a close friend definitely falls into that category. It's a huge risk to take emotionally.
Totally. And it's funny how that word guts has that double meaning too, right? Literally referring to your insides.
Yeah.
That feeling you get in your stomach when you're nervous or scared or you're about to do something really brave.
Yeah, it's that visceral reaction to a challenging situation.
So after all that lead up, he finally gets to the big question. But before we get to that, I think it's worth pausing for a second to look at some of the other key phrases he uses to kind of set the mood and express his intentions.
Good idea. Those phrases are really doing a lot of work in this dialogue.
So that phrase, just for the two of us. It's pretty straightforward, right? It means just you and me. We're just us. But the lesson points out that you can use it with any number to emphasize that sense of exclusivity.
Right. Whether it's just the four of us planning a weekend getaway, or in this case, a very deliberately romantic evening for two, it's about creating that special bubble.
And then there's that phrase, all to ourselves, which is all about having something completely to yourself without having to share with anyone else.
Like when you have the house all to yourself and your family's gone for the weekend, or when you want to eat that whole cake without having to share a single slice. It's about that sense of privacy and not having to divide your attention or resources.
And then we have, I've always seen you as friends, which refers to someone's perception of another person. Like you might say, I've always seen you as a really good friend or a really talented artist. It's about how you view someone in a particular way.
And in this case, it's about challenging that existing perception and saying, hey, there's actually something more here than you might realize.
And then finally, the question that kind of hangs in the air, are you willing to give me a shot? Now the audio breaks down. Give someone a shot as meaning to take a chance on someone or to give them an opportunity to prove themselves.
It's like saying, hey, can I have a shot at fixing this? I think I know what I'm doing. Or like when a coach decides to give a rookie player a chance to show what they can do. It's about asking for a chance to demonstrate your abilities.
So that brings us to this really interesting cultural observation that the audio brings up. It points out that even though this dialogue is all about asking someone to be your boyfriend or girlfriend, that kind of direct approach isn't actually that common among adults in English-speaking countries.
Yeah, that surprised me too when I first heard it. It seems like something you'd see more in movies or TV shows.
Exactly. And the audio explains that it's probably more common among younger people, like high school students, where those relationship labels are a bigger deal.
Yeah, for adults, it's usually much less formal and more like something that just kind of happens naturally as the relationship develops.
Right? You start hanging out more, you develop a deeper connection, and then at some point it just becomes clear that you're officially a cupper without ever having that big DTR conversation.
Exactly. And the audio contrasts this with dating practices in other parts of the world where there might be a much more formal process of asking someone to be your boyfriend or girlfriend, or even a more structured approach to dating in general.
Yeah, like in some cultures, families play a much bigger role in choosing a partner, and things aren't left up to chance or personal preference in the same way.
And the audio also mentions that historically in English-speaking countries, there is this tradition of going steady, which was basically a more explicit way of saying, hey, we're a couple now.
So yeah, it's fascinating to see how much cultural context there is around something as seemingly simple as asking someone out on a date.
Absolutely. It shows how deeply intertwined language and social norms are when it comes to dating and relationships.
But the audio actually goes beyond just this one dialogue. It also delves into the broader significance and nature of dating itself.
Right. It gives us a more holistic view of what dating is all about and why it's such an important part of human experience.
So we've talked about how to express romantic interest. Now let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture of dating itself as our audio lesson outlines it.
Okay, sounds good. Let's get that wide-angle lens out.
So the audio emphasizes that at its core, dating is about getting to know someone on a deeper level, building a meaningful connection, and exploring the possibilities of a long-term relationship.
It's about connection, intimacy, and the potential for something lasting.
Yeah, and it acknowledges that the world of dating can be pretty complex, full of excitement, uncertainty, and all sorts of challenges.
Definitely. But it also highlights how it's a fundamental part of social life for so many people, whether they're seeking companionship, love, or a life partner.
It's like a universal human experience with so many variations.
Absolutely. And it's interesting how the audio touches on that shift from more traditional arranged marriages to the modern emphasis on personal choice.
Right. It's like we've gone from our parent choosing our friends to being able to choose them ourselves.
Exactly. And while dating customs can differ significantly across cultures, that underlying desire for connection and belonging seems to be a constant.
It's just expressed in different ways depending on the cultural context.
So where does someone even begin on this dating journey? The audio outlines some initial steps, starting with meeting someone new.
Which can happen in countless ways through friends at work online, even just by chance.
It's like a choose-your-own-adventure story.
Totally. And the audio highlights how crucial those first impressions can be. Apparently, we make decisions about whether we're interested in someone within minutes of meeting them.
Wow, that's pretty quick.
I know, it's like our brains are constantly scanning for clues about compatibility and potential.
So factors like body language, eye contact, and the way someone speaks all contribute to that initial spark.
And a friendly and confident demeanor can definitely make a positive difference.
So once there's that initial spark, the next step is often the date itself, a planned opportunity to get to know each other better.
Yeah, this could be anything from grabbing coffee to seeing a movie, going for a walk, or doing something fun and active together.
The goal is to see if there's genuine connection and compatibility beyond those first few minutes.
And underpinning all of this is the vital role of communication.
Absolutely. Communication is key in dating. It's how we express our thoughts, feelings, and expectations.
It's not just about talking, though. It's also about active listening, showing genuine interest, asking thoughtful questions, and sharing your own experiences.
It's a two-way street, a dance of give and take.
Exactly. And honesty is paramount. Being truthful about your intentions, values, and feelings is essential for building trust and preventing misunderstandings down the line.
Yeah, nothing good comes from hiding your true self or playing games.
But effective communication isn't always easy. Shyness, nervousness, and the potential for misinterpretations can make things tricky.
So it's really about developing those clear and respectful communication skills so you can navigate the complexities of dating and relationships with more confidence.
And the audio also walks us through the stages that a dating relationship often goes through.
It's like a roadmap for the heart.
Right. It often starts with that initial period of intense excitement and curiosity, often called the honeymoon phase.
Ah, yes, the honeymoon phase where everything feels new and exciting and full of possibility.
But as the relationship progresses, the connection can deepen and become more substantial.
This is where you start exploring those deeper aspects of life, like core values, long-term goals, and future plans.
And it's also where those important conversations about family, career aspirations, and dreams for the future start to happen.
And of course, you also start to face those inevitable challenges and disagreements that come up in any relationship.
So learning how to navigate those conflicts constructively and develop healthy communication patterns is so important.
Absolutely. It's about building a foundation of mutual respect and understanding that can withstand those inevitable storms.
And ultimately, the audio reminds us that dating can lead to different outcomes. For some, it blossoms into a serious, committed relationship that might lead to engagement or marriage.
And for others, it might come to a natural conclusion if it becomes clear that they're not truly compatible in the long run.
But regardless of the outcome, the audio emphasizes that dating is a valuable experience for gaining self-awareness and understanding the qualities you truly seek in a partner.
It's like a journey of self-discovery that helps you refine your relationship compass.
Now, of course, we can't talk about dating in the modern world without addressing the huge impact of technology.
Right. Online dating has completely transformed the landscape of how we meet and connect with potential partners.
And the audio highlights some of the advantages of online dating, like having access to a much wider pool of potential partners, the ability to connect with people in different geographical locations, and the option to filter based on shared interests and values.
It's like having a whole world of possibilities at your fingertips.
But the audio also acknowledges the challenges that come with online dating, like the potential for people to misrepresent themselves or not be entirely honest.
Yeah, it's important to be cautious and take your time to really get to know someone online before meeting them in person.
Trust but verify, as they say.
Exactly. But despite those challenges, online dating has become a major pathway for people seeking love and lasting relationships.
It's just another tool in the dating toolbox.
And speaking of different tools, the audio also touches on those fascinating cultural variations in dating customs around the world.
It contrasts more informal dating approaches with those where marriage is often the explicit goal from the outset.
It's a reminder that there's no one-size-fits-all approach to dating and relationships.
Right. In many Western cultures, personal choice and individual compatibility are often prioritized. But in some Asian and Middle Eastern cultures, families might play a much more central role, and arranged marriages are still a significant tradition.
It's all about understanding and respecting those diverse cultural norms and traditions.
So the audio then wraps up by beautifully summarizing the overall journey of dating and building meaningful relationships.
It's like a poetic reflection on the complexities of the human heart.
It describes it as a process of emotional exploration and relationship development, often starting with anticipation, flowing conversations, shared laughter, and those exciting new experiences in the early stages.
Yeah, those early butterflies are the best.
Totally. And as the connection deepens, there's a growing understanding of each other's personalities, dreams, and core values.
You start to see the world through each other's eyes.
And of course, emotions play a huge role, bringing immense joy, but also presenting potential challenges that require patience and understanding.
It's a roller coaster of emotions.
It really is. And trust gradually develops through shared vulnerabilities. Honesty and open communication become the foundation of the relationship.
Vulnerability is key. It's about letting your guard down and allowing yourself to be seen and known by another person.
And it's also a journey of self-discovery as you learn more about your own desires, needs, and the qualities you truly appreciate in a partner.
Even those relationships that don't last can teach you valuable lessons that shape your future choices.
Learning how to navigate differences, misunderstandings, and expectations with respect and patience is so crucial.
Absolutely. Strong relationships are built on that foundation of mutual understanding and the ability to work through conflicts constructively.
It's about being a team, even when things get tough.
And the audio wisely distinguishes between healthy relationships that bring comfort, support, and happiness, and those that might be unhealthy or even disrespectful.
It's so important to prioritize your own self-respect throughout the dating process.
You deserve to be treated with kindness and consideration.
And the audio circles back to how technology has transformed dating while reminding us that the core values of genuine connection, trust, and emotional understanding remain as important as ever.
It's like the tools have changed, but the human need for connection hasn't.
Exactly. And ultimately, the audio concludes that meaningful relationships are about ongoing growth and mutual support as you navigate life's various moments together.
It's about having someone to share the journey with.
So to wrap up our own deep dive today, we've explored that initial dialogue about expressing romantic interest, noting that surprising directness, and how it compares to the more implicit ways relationships often develop in English-speaking cultures.
And we've also taken a broader look at the world of dating practices and perspectives, touching on cultural variations and the evolving ways we seek and build romantic connections.
And that leads us to our final thought for you to ponder. Considering these diverse approaches to initiating relationships and the constant evolution of dating, what do you think are some of those fundamental human needs and desires that remain constant in our search for connection?
It's a question that goes beyond language and delves into the very heart of what it means to be human.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We hope you found it insightful and maybe even a little bit thought-provoking. Until next time.
Take care. Bye.